Hello everyone, my name is Simon and today I'm going to show you how to do the cabling from an amplifier in a BMW 3 Series E90 in the trunk to the speakers in the front, the subwoofer beneath the seat and the speaker in the door. I'm going to use these tools: a screwdriver, a wire cutter, a knife, tape, a torque wrench with an T50. I'll call these differently in the video later, don't worry about that because I was missing the word. If you have a digital multimeter to measure if you are having the right cable, otherwise just use a lamp and a battery. An ironing thing, fitting a thing through that. If you can't really understand me completely, I'm sorry, I'm German, so I'm not English mother tongue, but I'm giving my best. Also, I'm having a bit of a cold, so excuse me for that. I hope you have fun. So what I've already done is the cabling on the left side of the car. So what I'm gonna show you is the right side. First of all, you wanna make sure to unplug the battery, because otherwise you're risking the airbags to explode. So you're just gonna open this case and unscrew that minus pole and make sure it isn't touching anything after it. So there you have the minus pole. Don't worry, there can be some sparks unplugging this. So you're just wrapping around something so it's not touching anything anymore. Make sure you wait about, some say 30 minutes, I would say 5 minutes before doing anything that could risk of exploding the airbags, like unplugging the seat or something else. What you can see underneath here in the spare tire thing, I've already placed the amplifier, having the plus pole from the battery and the minus pole, which is cabled beneath here. There's a big thing where you can put it on. I'll put a picture in the description. Believe me, it's the best thing to do, because spots or screws like this one on the rear light, they don't work because the paint underneath is too thick. So I'm using here an Eaton 75.4 MA or something like that. It's getting the audio signal from the speakers from the right and left side, transforming them with a inbuilt high-low adapter to a change signal, so the input level is high and I can put it on auto sense, so it's only running when I'm actually having the radio turned on. From here there are going 2 cables each side to the front, one for the subs beneath the seats and one from the for the sound boxes in the doors. So, pulling the cable to the front, you want to lift up the seats, which is actually quite easy to just pull here. On the other side as well, and then pull them up. You can see I've already pulled the cables through. For that I've taken the whole trunk apart, which isn't a quite nice job to do, but I've seen video on somebody pulling it just with a small cable underneath here, because I can't fold this one down. With a folding down one it's quite easier, so you just pull it through here, and then we're gonna take the whole side apart here and just follow that line to the front speakers, where they come out of the radio, somewhere like here I would say, and then it spreads to a cable going into the door speakers and going underneath the seat into the sub, and we are trying to find this point where they're spreading. So the first thing you have to remove is this plastic thing. You can do it with a thing like that. First one, be careful, you don't want to break anything. So if you're pulling out this small little thing before, it's easier to get them out. It's the same on most of the interior panels. So got them out, that's how it looks. Sure, if you break one you can order one in the internet. Then pull off this thing. So that's how it looks when it's off. It's held by these little things. When you put it back on, you are just gonna pull them out and put them back in place like that, and then you can just with a little strong press it will get back in place. Next you're gonna do the same thing at the front because these two are sitting on the middle one, like they are above it. So before you can disassemble this one, you have to disassemble the two at the door. Just gonna pull that off. So if you have this one off, the same at the back, just pulling these ones out, putting them back in place, and then you can put it back. So we're gonna go on with the middle thing, same thing here, like pulling it in that direction and then down. So if you have it off, looks like that, coming from here. If you've seen something like that, these things, then just try to watch out where something might be missing, like here. So you can just put it back in place. As you see, still in one part. Alright, so there we have it. Now we just try to follow these cables. That big red one is the power cable going to the battery. We might try to take a bit of place in between of that, so we don't get much interferences and the sound isn't bad because of that. So we're trying to reach some place in here, but before that we have to put the seat out. So what screws you have to unscrew to fold the seat back, or to put it out, is these torques, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. You'll need an T50 for that. I would recommend you need these Newton meter things, like where you can say I want it to be as tough as 40 Newton meters in this case, because that's the number the BMW is recommending. So we're just gonna pull the back seat back. These are the 2 screws at the back. If you are having problems with unscrewing these, just pull up the seat and it will be a lot easier. Believe me, you will reach every screw. So I haven't pulled the last screws out at the back, so now we can lay the seat on the back seats. So for that you don't even have to unscrew the seat belt. You only have to do that if you really want to pull the seat out of the car, but it's not necessary for that. I've even seen guys just doing it by laying back the seat like that, but that's, I don't know, it's easier if you just lay it on the back seats. What I've almost forgotten, if you have unscrewed all these screws, last thing you have to do is unplug the electronic from the seats. So you just pull out this thing and the plug will come out automatically. First thing, when you have taken the seat apart or taking it out of its place, is clean the car, because you'll never, or not in the near future, be able to reach these spots that easy. When you've finished cleaning up the car, you can just start unscrewing the screw, and then the thing here just pulls up and we can start cabling. Now you can just pull this up. As you see, here we have the stock BMW subwoofer. I'll leave this one in place for the first time, and maybe I'll change that later on. I've put in no alpines in the doors. No special BMW alpines. I've just put in a wooden plate underneath it, so it will hold in place. I'll put a picture in it. Cost me about third of the price of similar special BMW speakers. I'm quite happy with them at this point. Maybe you want to spend more on it, then you can buy special BMW speakers. If you don't, just compare the numbers, so the speakers aren't too deep in the door or aren't too wide, but most of the 10 centimeters will fit in it. 10 centimeters coax, because I don't have the high speaker in here. So what I've forgotten to do before we can find the cabling underneath here, you have to pull this apart. No screws or anything, you just pull this at that direction and it'll come off. Okay, so yeah, it's quite different from the driver's side, as I've seen, you maybe not even have to disassemble this plastic, but it's more comfortable if you can fold this thing more up. Maybe putting something at that place. So you're trying to look. These speakers cable are these, as you can see, the easiest here. Speaker cables are these blue things. On the driver's side, I think it's white and brown. Brown is the minus pole, I think mass pole it's called, and the black side on the right side is the plus pole. On the driver's side it's the white cable. So you're trying to look or find the place where it's looking like that. That's where the cables spread from the radio amplifier, coming from here to two cables, one going to the subwoofer, the other one going in the door to the speakers. Okay, you're just cutting this a little bit off so you can find the exact. So as you're cutting this off, try not to cut through any cables, not at this point. Okay, these are the two things you want to find. That's where the signal from the radio is spread to the two cables. So you're just gonna pull this one up, and then I'm gonna show you how to find the right signal, which is going to the subwoofer, because as you can see, here are three cables coming out. One is a smaller cable that is for the speakers in the door, so that's easy to find. And then there are two similar cables. One is coming from the amplifier of the BMW radio, and one is going to the subwoofer. And it's not that easy to find out, especially on the driver's side. I think here we can see that there are cables going. This cable, for example, it's going to the front, and that cable is going to the back. If you can't see that, which is I think the case on the driver's side, you just take a multimeter and measure the cables. You can just cut through here and then measure which cable is the right one to come out here. Okay, so next we're gonna do the wiring with the cables from the back. I am soldering them to the fitting cables at the front. I think I don't have to film that. You can do that as I do with the soldering iron, however you want. I think the signal doing it with a soldering iron is quite good. That's why I'm doing it with it. That's how it could look when it's finished. Sure, you can do it in a better looking way, but works like that and the sound is okay. So did the ironing here with the subwoofer cable coming from the amplifier at the back. Put the cable next to there, going down there, so with a nice distance to this power cable. So then put a sticky thing around the subwoofer cable, so there it's not it's just not in the way anymore. So following here, smaller cable, which is the sound cable going in the cinch port to the amplifier, and then the speaker cable to the speakers in the door. Putting a sticky thing around it, and then we can reassemble all the things in here. We're done. So I'm gonna begin to put this thing back on. Next, putting this back in place. Just put this. Now, putting this thing back in place here. So then we can put back this thing in place. Remember, just pulling out these ones. Suck. And when you have put them all back in place, you can just put that this time over this thing, and then just try not to break them, but with a gently punching back in place. With the thing at the back, exactly the same. Pull out these, put them back on, and then by gently punching it, put it back in place. If you have something that won't come out easily, you just say, Scheiße, verdammt, komm raus, du blödes Ding. It's a German car, it will understand that. Okay, putting it back in place. And then gently punch it again, so it's fitting. Good. At the end, just put that back in. Okay, putting the seat back in place. First of all, you need to plug it in again. Just by clicking that one. Okay, as you see here, the slide at this side is fitting, but not at this side. It should be here. Don't worry, just pull the thing at the front where you slide the seat forwards and backwards, and then manually pull this slide in the fitting place. When you're putting back the screws, remember to use, I think, maybe I'll write this below the video again, to use at least 40 Newton meters. Before you tighten up all the screws, put them in place and give them some turns so the seat is really in the fitting place. So the front seat back in place. You can try and slide it to the front and to the back if it's all working. If it is, we can put the back seats in. Putting the rear seats back in is quite easy. Just try not to leave any of these seat belt things below here. Put them all through the holes. Okay. Having reassembled the whole interior, we can put the minus pole of the battery back on and test it. Have been plugged in the battery again. The date and other stuff will be lost, but that's no problem. You can set that back. And then I've put in the fader all to the right side so we can hear whether the speakers are working. And for the speaker test, you should use probably your phone or other plugged in devices, and of course Rammstein, because it's a German kind and will play the best. No, joking. You should use, of course, the music you're listening to daily, so you can change the settings on the amplifier as you'd like them and as the speakers can handle them. Because remember, I'm still using the stock subwoofer. So it seems like they're all working. What you can also try and look is whether the subwoofer is correctly working. So we're gonna turn off that. Seems like it does. And then the Höhen. It does it well. So I'm just gonna show you what changes I've done to the amplifier. You should, when you're setting the changes on the amplifier, you should always turn the volume nearly to max, because otherwise, when you turn it to max and you have set the amplifier to a different thing, then you could break your speakers, because you get more volume out of it. So what I've done to the amplifier is I've put on the front channels the door speakers, I've put them on high, and the rear speakers here are the subwoofers on low. Bass boost is completely turned off. The crossover is the subwoofers, the rear, are only playing 550 Hz and below that, and the door speakers are playing 330 Hz and above that. So that it is, all perfectly working. Hope you enjoyed it and can now also change the sound in your BMW 3 Series E90 or other 3 Series to better quality. If you like the video, I don't know what to say, it's my first YouTube video, maybe thumbs up. If you want other tutorials, you could do that as well. If there aren't any videos on that, that's why I did this video, because I think nobody else did this exact tutorial before. So yeah, have a nice day and drive carefully.